In ancient Egypt, Joseph performed not only a dream interpretation, but a profound noetic act, a food management plan that saved the Egyptians. We call this foresight the Joseph principle, the moment we transform a crisis from a disaster into a plan, and more importantly, a plan that respects the local life world. However, in the same story, we must look more closely at the phenomenon of power. The forecasting knowledge remained concentrated in the head of Joseph and the king. Wisdom was centralized. The horizon of the future was visible only from the throne. The Bible reports in Genesis 47 that as the famine deepened, the people came to Joseph to buy food, first with money. When their currency was exhausted, they traded their livestock, horses, sheep, and cattle. When these living assets were gone, they surrendered their land, and finally, they sold their own bodies to the king's administration for survival. They had nothing left. This is a chilling realization for our farmers today. In Egypt, a nation of independent land stewards was reduced to servitude through the very same system that saved them. After the famine, Joseph gave them seed and a contract to farm. But the intentionality of their labor had shifted. 1/5 of every harvest now belonged to the king. This transition from autonomy to survival to alienation is what we call the Joseph effect. As we move into the era of digital and climate smart agriculture, we must pause to reflect on the Joseph effect of modern technologies, intended to shape the farmer's lived experience, the life worlds of farmers. Yet, this digitally focused intentionality has encountered resistance. Adoption is still marginal. If we are to avoid the Joseph effect of modern technologies, we must ask deeper questions. What is the critical feature these technologies miss? Not as technical specifications, but as lived field experience. How can field experience be translated into meaningful signs and symbols without losing the essence of that experience? What do these systems fail to perceive in the world they claim to measure and monitor? Here, socio-material research on insulin pumps offers a more nuanced lesson. An insulin pump does not replace the patient's judgment. It does not eliminate embodied knowledge. It does not render lived experience obsolete. Even the most advanced device requires interpretation, a familiarity with one's own body. In other words, the device proposes, the patient disposes. The pump works only through cooperation, a dynamic exchange between algorithm and intuition, between sensor and self-awareness. It augments perception. It does not claim sovereignty over it. This is the phenomenological lesson we must remember when designing digital agriculture technologies. Technology becomes sustainable not when it substitutes human judgment, but when it enters into dialogue with the life world and the operating conditions of the user. And this is precisely what is at stake in digital agriculture. A critical sustainable pathway is to design technologies that incorporate phenomenological features, that leverage farmers' tacit knowledge, that balance quantified data with lived experience. For farmers also, whole data data gathered through the senses, through memory. The sustainable pathway lies in the dialogue between the two. So the question for our next horizon of agricultural evolution is clear. Will we design technologies for substitution or for cooperation? But this is not merely a technical decision. It is ethical, it is philosophical. At its root lies a deeper assumption about the human subject itself. For centuries, modern thought has been guided by a powerful declaration: cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. In this formulation, the human being becomes a detached thinking substance, a mind observing the world from a distance. Is it any surprise then that we design technologies that substitute judgment rather than cooperate with it? But farming has never been a purely mental act. It is embodied, it is relational, it is rooted in the soil, in the Adama. Perhaps the future of sustainable agriculture requires a rethinking of the very foundation of modern subjectivity. Perhaps it is not I think, therefore I am, but something more grounded. In the next episode, we will revisit Descartes' statement, return it to the Adama, and propose a more contemporaneous expression for the age of digital agriculture. My name is Paul Salicot, Cogito.